The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? The Jew saw them all, beat them all.
All right, that was a little. Welcome to the Thejewfunction.
Hey, Leo.
I'm Leo. This is Seth.
Hi.
It's where we're trying to solve all the world's problems with two Jews and a microphone. Was that the Beastie Boys? But in all seriousness, I think we're all feeling that a lot is at stake, and we're actually. I feel like we're very privileged to have this show and to be able to meet people and speak to people and speak to actually really interesting people who some of them who haven't thought a moment about the Jewish issue, the Jewish question, and some of them who have spent half their lives thinking and about it and doing something about it. And it's really interesting how in some respects we're so close, I think, to what we need to do, and in some other respect we're just galaxies apart. You're right now visiting one of the Jewish capitals of the world. Are people
I see that. Yeah, I'm in Florida visiting family, and a lot of Jews here. We need like a splitting of the Red Sea moment. There's a lot of incremental things. A lot of people that I'm talking to involved in American Zionist organization or supporting different political candidates. But these little incremental things are well, let's open the conversation more when Dov joins us, but we need some out of the box solution. We need some splitting of the sea moments, some Purim moments, something extra supernatural, because the world, it doesn't matter. I mean, the world, no matter what happens, the world doesn't give us the benefit of the doubt. I say the world. I know we have friends in the world, but it's not rational. Nothing that's going on here. I don't want to say too much because I really want to save all of the good juice for our conversation with Dov. But it's really clear that none of these things are rational. It's not like Newtonian physics where, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to get this result. There's some other special thing. No, I don't hear you.
maybe we need additional help, as it were.
Yeah, we need additional
help from above.
I'm here.
That's it. Good.
Hold on, our guest is coming
back.
in. Yeah,
I got my cigarette.
All right, let's see. So, since Dov has already barged into the conversation,
let's go.
Let me just come on. I'll introduce you. So Dov is an American politician, former Democratic New York Assemblyman, representing Brooklyn. He was my Assemblyman. Too bad I only found out after I left back to Israel, but. He was there, I think, for many years, over 30 years. He's an activist. He's the kind of guy who walks the streets. He's got a radio show. He's heading the Americans Against Antisemitism nonprofit, and he's one of the guys that we want to talk to individually. For years, he was in one of our panels, and I felt like we really wanted to, feel his heart one-on-one, two-on-one, as it were. So, Dov, you can turn on your camera. We are waiting for you eagerly.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you're on.
We're live.
Okay.
We made it.
So, how's...
Go ahead, Leo.
No, I'm just trying to be nice. Ask the person how he is and how's everything, considering everything. We like to get a little temperature check with our guests. So,
well, I think that's a question. Everyone says, "How are you these days?" in the Jewish community, in particular, and I think when I slip and I say good, I stop and say, wait a second. Maybe things are fine for me on a daily basis, but right now things are not yet good, because every time I open up the news, whether middle of the night, the Israeli websites, Israeli media, the thing I don't want to see is that a tragedy happened. Jewish soldiers, dying in Gaza, or terrorist acts. So right now it's, until this is all over and there's peace, things are not good. But life goes on, and we need to do whatever we can, our part, each and every one of us, with regard to the situation that exists.
True. And we'll get to kind of sort of the bigger plan that we have in mind, and we sort of got to discuss a little bit. But I think it's worth just maybe if you could take a couple of minutes, just tell us a little bit, because you were always a busy guy. You were active back when we started this podcast in 2020, and we did there was the walk on the bridge. Remember the No Fear, No Hate, and I was broadcasting from the Brooklyn Bridge at like 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and you were there, and there were a lot of other people there, and already back then I was like, I want to talk to this guy. He seems like he's got the feel of the land. You're already out there. So just tell us a little bit, what have you been up to since you left the formal politics in your work on anti-Semitism, because I feel like it's been part of who you are and what you do since forever.
Well, it goes back to literally the beginning. My parents are survivors of the Holocaust. My mother went to Auschwitz in 1944 with her family, and the day they arrived, most of her family went straight to the gas chambers. So standing up for the Jewish people, trying to deal with anti-Semitism, is something that's always been part of my DNA, to do the best that we possibly can, realizing that we're never going to get rid of Jew hatred, but each person needs to do their best to confront it. So I've been active all my life, going back Soviet Jewry movement in the 1970s, when I was active with the JDL at that time, in the streets of New York, doing a lot of acts of civil disobedience, getting arrested many times, chaining myself to the Soviet mission, all kinds of things, and just fighting and standing up and doing whatever I could as an individual. And as an elected official, I believe I did that. And when I left office after 36 years, I did not think that I would create an organization. But if you go back the last 4 or 5 years, anti-Semitism has been something that the numbers, the level of hatred and attacks upon Jews in the United States and really all over the world has been at a level that we have never seen before, based on the statistics. So, we got involved trying to do whatever we could, speaking out, standing up. Look, I remember going back at a university in New Jersey a couple of years ago as part of my organization, confronting Taleb, who was speaking at an event made up of Muslims. I was there with my yarmulke. My intention was to confront her because she had made some outrageous remarks about the Jews in Israel and Jerusalem being responsible for the murder of a child. It ended up being an accident, nothing to do with Jews doing anything. Literally confronted her face to face. So that's been part of who I am and the people that I work with, to try to do the best we can to confront the hatred. And whatever we were doing for the last 4 years, October 7th changed everything. Whatever was going on before October 7th, as bad as the numbers were, now it is really out of control. Now there is no question anywhere that we in the Jewish community are faced with the question that people, actually talk about on a regular basis is about the future of Jews in America. That's something that you hear more and more. You did not hear that years ago. And I can totally understand that. this woman called me a number of months ago, a total stranger. She described herself as an elderly woman from Queens, New York. And this is the question she asked me. How will we know when it's time to leave? Will someone be going around with bells, Is there going to be an official announcement that it's over for Jews in America? I mean, this woman was serious. She was truly concerned about what was happening, what she was reading about. And that is before October 7th. So you can only imagine what has happened since October 7th. The Jew haters who only hated Zionists, they loved Jews, their best friends were Jews. It was only about Zionists. Well, the cover is off. It is about Jews.
Yeah.
It is about Jews, period.
What are your thoughts about America? Because Leo and I talked to a lot of people about this. And usually when we bring up this concept that, for example, what happened in Germany in the 30s could happen here, or is a lot of things very, very similar. Most people look at us like we're total lunatics. Like, no, what are you talking about? It's America. It could never happen.
At least used to look at us like total lunatics. Now it's more
like... I
still
think a lot of people, even if we're not lunatics, I still think that they're like, that's not really, not a real possibility. Not in America.
Well, the fact is that more and more people do feel that way. And you can even see it in a lot of the writings where people actually express themselves that they're worried about the future.
Well, what's your feeling about it?
Well, I think, these are things you don't know. I don't think that, with few exceptions, that the Jews who lived in Europe in the 1920s, 1930s, that anyone could imagine that what happened was going to happen. Jew hatred, a pogrom, a bunch of Jews being murdered, maybe even hundreds. But in terms of what actually happened, I mean, we have stories, as you know, with Jews who escaped from Auschwitz and came to Jewish leaders in Hungary before Hungarian Jews were rounded up and sent to Auschwitz by the hundreds of thousands, who came to Hungary and said, look, I was in Auschwitz. Let me tell you what happened, what we saw with our own eyes. And the leadership of Hungarian Jewry did not want to believe them. Who wants to believe? We're so comfortable in America. I mean, I live in the 5 towns in Woodmere. I mean, the restaurants are packed. When it came to recent, kids were not in school, everybody was going everywhere, taking their families, Florida, the islands, you name it. It was like nobody stopped for a moment to say, maybe this is not the time to do that with the tragedies in Israel and the difficulties in Israel. Who wants to believe, with all of our beautiful homes and communities and everything else, who wants to believe that it can happen? And I think when we study our history and we realize that Adolf Hitler did not happen suddenly, even when he came to power in January of 1932, if I remember, or was it 1933? I don't remember. But in January of one of those years, it took quite a few years until, they started the actual planning, detailed plan to murder, very detailed, organized, the 1C conference that took place to actually plan systematically to murder men, women, and children by the millions. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, things happened. Terrible things were going on, but it took quite a few years. So who can predict? Is there anyone who can truly get up and say, truly, deep down, someone who's knowledgeable with history, say, no. America cannot happen here. In fact, things are so out of whack in this country on every single level. I mean, not just in terms of anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, but, in terms of the future of this country, the divisiveness in this country, the hatred between groups in this country, it's very, very scary when you look at that and say, what's the future? I don't think you want to get into the politics, but, we are in a terrible dilemma. Everyone is, in terms of what's going to happen in this year in 2024 in the elections, because on both sides there are unbelievable concerns. So things are not stable, to say the least.
What's the root of the divisiveness? What's your feeling about what the root of that divisiveness is? And the reason why I want to go to the root is because when I speak to very successful business people, for example, they can't, I don't know if it's just because, like you said, in the 5 towns, you live in a good life and everything. These are people who are very smart, understand human nature, understand how systems work, but don't feel that we need to get out of America or even plan to get out of America, or that something could actually happen in America. So trying to have very organized, clear conversations with facts doesn't seem to move the needle. So that seems to me like the end. What's the root of the divisiveness? Where is the source of this? Because trying to deal with all of the branches all the way at the end and trying to explain it to people doesn't. It's a very hard battle.
You know, it didn't happen overnight. There's always been divisiveness. Look, we have 2 political parties. There are extremists on both sides, have always been. But I don't think that I can remember anything quite what exists right now. It is so many things coming together at one moment that in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. You know, trying to understand, you know, when people believe, you know, when you can sell in Nazi Germany, you know, the Nazis, the anti-Semites of those times, they sold the most unbelievable hatred towards the Jewish people. They had to take the Jewish people and create monsters, that they were vermin, that they didn't deserve to live, not men, women, and children, that they were a danger to the future of society. I mean, that's what they did. That they were and that didn't happen suddenly. That was the result of hundreds and hundreds of years of hatred. But it had to come together in that perfect moment. And just think of it. Who was the leader of that movement? Number one, it was Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler, you know, a corporal in the Austrian army during World War I, a guy that you know, that Charlie Chaplin mocked in a film that he did, you know, sort of imitating Adolf Hitler at that time in the early 1930s. You know, this was the last person that would come to power, this guy, this lunatic. But look what happened. You know, the people of Germany and so many others were ready to believe everything that they were being sold, down to the very last detail. Just like here in America today, the same thing is true. You know, I'm sitting at a table in Florida 2 weeks ago someone gave a Torah to the community in Deerfield, a good friend of mine. I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of Orthodox Jews, older people, and every single one of them, I'm not kidding, like 6, 7 of them start talking to me about the election that was stolen in 2020 from Donald Trump. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, someone stole an election in 2020? I said, really? I didn't hear it. Is that a fact? You know the election? And they were so certain. And they bought it all. These are smart people, you know, fellow Jews, business people, smart people. Like, you know, I was sort of playing with them, and it was so sad, you know, to hear this, that people buy all this stuff. And that's why I'm so scared. Because when you have a situation where people are willing to believe lies, outright lies, and they don't know better, they really believe it with no proof, nothing. I sometimes think of some of the people that you know, that I'm talking about. If suddenly they turned on Jews and said Jews are the ones who are causing all the problems, I think a lot of people would buy that too. Especially
not only that, Dov. Seth and I talk about it. It's actually don't tell anyone. It's going to be cheaper. It's only 50 million Jews. You know, if we're doing all the problems, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a crazy thought nowadays, you know?
Jews have always been the scapegoat. Why does anyone think that some of the people you talk to who don't want to believe, and I can understand why they don't want to believe. You know, they've
Yeah.
invested everything in America, for God's sake. Who wants to believe that?
Yeah. Also, when
I
there's
may have to leave. I may have to go somewhere else. I mean, come on, no, never. My life is wonderful. Please give me a break. Now, the number, your fellow Jews are being physically assaulted. You know what's going on at universities all over this country. You see the hatred towards the state of Israel, the Jewish people, not against, some people want to make it about Netanyahu. No. It's not about Netanyahu. It's about the people of Israel, because the people of Israel right now generally are united. They still are. They're united. For instance, with regard to Hamas, what should be done? Should we stop? Should we just stop? No. I mean, Gantz, who joined the coalition with Netanyahu, who was doing incredibly well in the polls, just came out today. I just reading what he was saying, saying we are united. Number one goal is the destruction of Hamas. Number one. Number two, we're the hostages. Number three, interestingly, and it's things that I talk about all the time, how can you ever have peace when children in the Palestinian Authority, forget about Hamas and Gaza.
Yeah.
If your kid is in nursery, in kindergarten, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, your textbooks are teaching hatred, the most vile hatred of the Jewish people. How do you ever? Are we surprised that Palestinians hate Jews? I mean, come on.
I wasn't surprised, but I haven't been surprised in 20 years on the topic. I have to say, it's funny. I have just a small anecdote. Right before I moved I visited America in 1998, 1999, and I moved in 2000. And right as I was moving, it was like the beginning of the internet. You just got your email and all that, and you get into all those. There were all these groups. Remember, there were what were they called, Seth? Those chat rooms. Yeah, something I forget. So you'd go. It was like an adventure, right? You go, you have no idea what's going on. Who are you going to meet? People are generally naive. I remember pretending to be Mel Gibson once. I remember you protested against this film. I pretended to be Mel Gibson, and everybody's like, "Oh, great! What are you working on?" I was like, "I'm working on some new movie." Like, "Oh, really?" Yeah. It was so. I mean, the level was amazing, and somehow through one of those conversations, I connected with a guy who grew up in a Palestinian, who grew up, was raised to hate Jews and everything, and then he got up and he left somehow by some miracle, and he was desperate to talk to me, to tell me the problem, the education. Like, that was 1999, 2000, right? Like, it was clear to everyone with eyes in their head, but clearly it wasn't clear enough to enough people in enough places to actually do something about it.
And just think about it politically. Why is it that our government
Dov, I can't hear you.
Dov, you're dropping out audio wise.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, how is it that our government? This is like ABC. This is basic. This is fundamental. How come we haven't dealt with this? Donald Trump took away hundreds of millions of dollars from UNRWA, other groups, right? Biden returned the money. Okay, fine. But couldn't part of the deal be that the textbooks be changed once and for all? Otherwise, we don't give you any money?
Unless they don't want it to be changed.
Yeah,
exactly. Why do we pretend that everything is okay? Oh, a two-state solution. That was what?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. How does the president of the United States now offer say something about a two-state solution after October 7th? This is what I was saying.
And education and everything else. Like, again, it's disconnected from reality.
We need the facts. Ben Shapiro's famous thing is like, my facts don't care about your feelings. But we have all the facts in the world, and it's not enough. It's not enough to have every single fact. It's not changing our history, our trajectory. It's the same thing keeps happening.
Right. Facts don't matter, unfortunately, to many, many people. because if anyone takes the time to truly look at everything, we're not perfect, by the way. Israel is not perfect, but if you go back in terms of history, back to 1948, before 1948, I don't want to go into a whole history lesson, but the facts are there in terms of the Jewish people. I have never read anything where prior to 1948, when Jews began to return to what was then Palestine, I have never read anything where Jews took someone's land away. They just took the land away. It belonged to Mahmoud, and the Jews came along and they just took it away and they started building their agricultural whatever.
No, actually,
the Jews bought land.
They bought the land that nobody wanted.
Arabs.
Actually, they bought the land that nobody wanted.
And then you go on to 1948. States. Palestinian state could have been there since 1948. We all know, but don't bother me with the facts. And then what about the deal of Ehud Barak and the deal of Omar? The deal they offered, by God, to Mahmoud Abbas, to Arafat. Who said no? I mean, the deal that would have jeopardized the well-being of the state of Israel. They were willing to make concessions that were not normal, but they were willing to do it. Said no. But again, please don't confuse me with facts. Don't confuse me.
This kind of gets to the root of Leo and I's premise that there's got to be some other X factor besides just the facts. And this kind of comes back to why we look at, our whole premise here is about the Lee, you want to give our little spiel about the
No, I think, first of all, I think Dov heard it, and at the time he read some stuff about it. And I think I want to ask actually a question, because you've been in politics for many years. And you and I both know, and I forget who said that, I don't know, it was Churchill or someone said that diplomacy, the purpose of this diplomacy is to conceal intention, right? It's like, it's not really people trying to make peace. Like if two neighbors want to make peace, they make peace, This guy makes a good gesture, this guy makes a good gesture, they shake hands and they try to be good to each other, cover whatever little disputes they have with goodwill, share a food, a drink, right? You can make peace, and the same thing happens on a larger scale. We see it. If the intention is to live peacefully, right, or to do something, you can do it. In the world, the level of sincerity is like a very corrupt high school, right? Everybody's just wheeling and dealing and cutting deals, and this guy wants this guy's oil, and so he's going to do this and he's going to sell that. It's all. I've learned many years ago that whatever you see and read on the news, there's 90% that's happening in the behind closed doors that you have no idea about. The media doesn't report on it. Like, it's totally different intentions than what's happening. And so our question is what are we Jews? What can we learn from the cycle of history that seems to repeat itself? Even going into the Holocaust and beyond the Holocaust, we understand human nature. Human nature is not perfect, far from it. It's easy to sway people's minds, easy to control the masses. Masses really don't operate on facts, right, and rational thinking. They operate on feelings, and some people know how to rally those feelings, right? And Jews always find themselves at the end of that cycle, getting the boot or worse. And so we're asking really not the question, will we have to leave America, but rather we had to leave 800 places before. What's going on? What is really at the root of it? Are we forever going to be the guys who are going to be blamed for everyone's troubles? Maybe there's something to that. Maybe we as Jews should ask ourselves, what is really, if we are the wiser, smarter, more mature part of the population, how are we seeing what's happening? That's really what we're trying to find out. And by the way, there are clues. Lots of them. We'll talk about them.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear what you think about that part of it.
Well, nothing will ever change. Let me just say that I actually believe that the people of Israel, at one time, years ago, were really interested in peace and were ready to make serious concessions for peace. But that has all changed because of the facts on the ground, going back to Arafat, when Israeli leaders sat down and with Clinton, and all looked wonderful, and then the Intifada, where more Jews were murdered than a 20-year period prior to that. So the Jews, I think Jews at one point, actually, we want to make peace. We're ready to make concessions, as difficult as it may be. But let me tell you what part of the problem is, and there's no way to really solve it. But, we are guilty. We Jews are guilty to a certain extent. And we need to start addressing the following things. We need to start telling our kids not to go to law school. We need to tell our kids to go to medical school. We need to start being less successful than we are all over the world. There is no affirmative action program for the Jewish people that gives them a special entree to universities, et cetera, et cetera. Jews, not because they are the chosen people or they're better than anyone else, but because of the fundamental thing about the Jewish people that we all know, that from the earliest time, as a father, as a grandfather now, the most important thing in our world, in the Jewish world, is called education. Whether it's you're Haredi studying in a yeshiva, or whether you don't believe in God, doesn't matter. Education is the fundamental thing in the home of every single Jew. And Jews have been successful beyond their numbers and percentages. And ultimately, this causes a big problem. So we got to cut it down.
This is kind of funny. This is kind of funny, Dov.
Sort of tongue in cheek. We got to stop.
This is your solution, that Jews should just become dumber. If we all just became dumber,
yes, they wouldn't be looking at us. We wouldn't be. Jews are successful. They didn't take anything from anyone. They did it through hard work and determination throughout history. Okay.
But Dov, let me ask you: if the Jews were dumb, because great premise, and we should try it. Maybe if we had,
they shouldn't be so smart. They shouldn't be so smart.
If we had more time, we could maybe try it. But do you think the problems would go away? You think they would all go away? Or what about the chosenness thing? What about this other thing that no matter what we do with ourselves, whether we align ourselves with the left, whether we align ourselves with the right, whether we become socialists, whether we become capitalists, no matter where we go, whether we start pornography or whether we start investment banking, doesn't matter. Wherever we go, there's something about this people, this other thing, this otherness that maybe let's even call it godly something, some connection to some God thing, some purpose for humanity that we can't escape, no matter what we wear. And that's maybe a place to go.
I want to close it with a couple of extra things for you, Dov, and then you can jump in. You read in our sources, our sages, they say that we can't be, we will forever be a nation among other nations. We can't be like them. We can't assimilate. We can't not do what we need to do. Now, if you take the text literally and you think, oh, all the Jews have to be somehow religious and do something, it's weird. It's clearly not happening. But if you go a little beyond the literal and you go into the sort of the spirit of things, right? Everybody's talking about the Jewish rule of love your friend as yourself, as the heart of everything, as moving away from that rule is what did us in, the Second Temple. And then, in fact, throughout every big crisis in history, Seth and I mapped it out. It was always something that happened before the axe came down. There was always extreme Jew-on-Jew hatred. Almost like going against that one thing that we were told to keep, to observe, to really try at. The one thing we learned from Abraham, right? It's like it's following us. It's always on the sideline, but it's there. And then to add to what Seth said, it's almost like it doesn't matter what you do. The system, on the one hand, won't let you disappear and die out. Like, all right, you don't belong here and there. Well, let's just do away with it. You can't die out. You can't disappear. and also being really good at and bringing the world all this other good stuff is almost not enough. So maybe there's something that we're not doing after all those clues. Maybe you can weigh
No,
in
I
on that.
look,
Maybe there's something that we're not doing.
yeah, I look, it's a mouthful. And I totally hear where you're coming from. And, Jews have tried assimilation. It doesn't
Didn't work.
work.
Doesn't work.
By the way, Jews became Catholics. Adolf Hitler went beyond the Torah in terms of who was a Jew, right? Because it didn't matter. If you had any Jewish blood, we got to get rid of you. I mean, we can't have any Jewish blood, even if you're not a Jew, but you got a little something there, we got to deal with you. Yep. So everything has truly, truly been tried. And to your point, at the end of the day, when October 7th happened, and we all know more and more today the horrors that happened on October 7th. As you know, I was there a couple of days after October 7th. I was in Kfar Aza. I went from house to house. I saw, oh my God, it has affected me to this moment, what I saw, what I heard in the communities in the South, okay? And after October 7th, but prior to October 7th, I was there a couple of weeks before. I couldn't get out of the airport because of the rallies and demonstrations. I couldn't leave the airport to go to Jerusalem. The hatred, the divisiveness, it was something so terrible and so horrible. Not that people don't have a right to have another point of view from someone else, but it became something that I used to say at that time, if there would have been a third temple, it would have been destroyed. That's how bad it was among the Jewish people, the senat chinam, the hatred. So at the end of the day, and then after October 7th, we have this amazing thing, especially in Israel, there is that incredible unity. There is no left-right. I don't care how religious you are, less religious, more religious, we're all there for each other. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way it should be. So at the end of the day, if I had to say, what is the lesson to my people, to the Jewish people? Number one, be proud you are a Jew. Be proud. It's the greatest club you could ever be part of. I know it brings a lot of, problems, but hey, I'm a proud Jew. I always have been. We need to be strong. We need to not be afraid. The next time there's a day of rage in America, we've had two of them in recent months, where our enemies say, this Saturday we're going to, we should say, bring it on. Come to my synagogue. I'm saying that right now. Bring it on. There were 2 days of rage. You know what happened? Nothing. But the entire Jewish community, like my synagogue, a great synagogue, great rabbi, told the women not to come to synagogue that Shabbat. What?
Right.
We're afraid, we're running. That's exactly what our enemies want. We need to be strong, proud, unapologetic. There's nothing to apologize for. We need to be there for Israel in the strongest way possible. The innocent civilians of Gaza, you feel for them. I feel for them. Hey, okay, I get it. Mr. President of the United States and all these leaders all over the world and the Palestinians who care so much for their people, why are they not in the streets addressing themselves to Hamas? All of this could end in one freaking moment.
And yet, you see, and that's the paradox, Dov. So many things are right before our eyes, and it's as if there's like, I don't want to say God, but as if there's like some force from above that's like, no, I'm gonna.
So that should be the lesson for us. We try to do the right thing. We, the Jewish people, we really do. Not perfect, but we try. The Israeli military notifies people in so many different ways, get out of the way of the bombs that are coming and so on and so forth. There is no choice for Israel. They're not fighting an army against army. After all these months, what more do people need to know? That every hospital in Gaza underground base for Hamas. How much more?
So hold on. So you said that you thought that if there was a third temple, it could have been destroyed by what was going on in Israel, right? So clearly, and now you said there's a unity that in Israel. So when does it come? So if there is this very, very strong force from here, then we can get the unity. Also, we got the nation of Israel, but at what cost? We had World War II, very, very strong force. Then we can get the nation of Israel. So it seems like we can get the unity, we can get the nation, we can get this against some very, very strong force from the other side. So the issue is, like, what payment do we have to make? Or are we going to pay, every 80 years we're going to be, we're going to have to pay, and then we're going to get something good, and hopefully it lasts for, maybe we can narrow it down to 60 years. We have to pay. Look at the exodus from Egypt. Like, we paid, they're with slavery. So the point is, and this is what Leo and I are like, just over and over keep coming back to this point. Is there another way to pay? Is there another? There has to be this force versus this force in order to come to something good with us. Is there another way to pay besides us being destroyed? And where do we find? What can we be proud of? What can we be proud of proactively?
And before we answer, hold on, we get a word.
Wow,
hold on.
What makes you think I have an answer?
Hold on. I get a word from our sponsor, which is us, and then you can answer. Okay, so 1 minute. And it is coming, and we're on.
I don't think anyone else is doing what we're doing, and yeah, and that's exactly it. Nobody can comprehend what we're talking about. Who would even say that anti-Semites have anything valuable to say without saying we're anti-Semitic or we're self-hating Jews? But there's something that everybody's missing in this whole picture, and the reason why the solution is so close is because we're not waiting for anyone else to change. We're not waiting for the laws to be enacted. We're not waiting for a new politician to get elected. The answer is way closer than everybody thinks.
Like us, hit the bell thing on the YouTube so you can get a notification when the new episode is up. Well, this is the Thejewfunction, and let's get back to our guest. Now you're on. Lay it on us.
Okay. If I had the answer to your question, I would be the Mashiach. I'd be the Messiah.
But Dov, but you're doing it. I'm sorry. Hold on. But you yourself, you are doing it. You are running ahead of the cart.
Well, that's that when you and I talk, that word needs to spread. Very simple message. It's not very complicated. We all know, we believe in God and we care, then the relationship between man and man is really what God cares about more than anything else. Sometimes we concentrate too much on the Bein Adam L'Makom, our relationship with God. Of course, that's basic. But what God wants, he wants to see us get along with each other. He wants to see us respect each other. He wants to see us being less judgmental. For God's sake, let's stop that. Looking at everyone else thinking we're better and we're going to tell them how to be a Jew. That's not what it's all about. If you want someone else to be more of a Jew like you, be an example and let them make that choice. When we are together, and look, what happened on October 7th, the details, and more, let me tell you, there's going to be more coming out in terms of the horrors that were committed. That's hard to believe because it's already beyond our comprehension what was done to human beings, men, women, and children. It's beyond comprehension what other people did. And you still have those demonstrations all over the world in support of Hamas. So what we can do, and what the people of Israel realize more than ever before, because they're on the front lines, is that this unity that exists right now, I think people understand how critical that is. But again, let's just remember one thing. As long as we are human beings, and that's what God created, there will be those differences, and that's okay. We can never permit it to rise to the level where it becomes sinat chinam, where it becomes hatred, which is what happened before October 7th, in Israel in particular. So all the things I said before, I believe. We need to be proud. We need to be able to, we need to learn to defend ourselves and stand up. We're not going to get into confrontations with our enemies, but we need to change the mindset of the Jewish community. That's what we need to do.
Okay, so with October 7th, there's this very, very strong force. Before the founding of the state of Israel, there was this very, very strong force. So there will be a very, very strong force. Like, come to Pharaoh, like there's Bola Paro. There is a strong force on the other side. It doesn't just happen like everything's calm and we're just gonna, have a Shabbaton. It's against something that it seems like God keeps making these things happen. So what is the force? Where is so the premise is like the hatred, the problems between Jews. Let's use that force in order to cover it with love. Like we need programs or somehow we need some way to harness those great things like the founding of the state of Israel or the unity that we have now are coming against this negative force. We can't think that there isn't going to be something that we have to work against. So the question is to such a guy who's such a down-to-earth grassroots guy, like where do we find the opportunity to do this in a proactive way, to use that force?
Well, look, there needs to be a complete change on the part of organizations. Whatever we were doing prior to October 7th, America and in Israel, all the programs, all the education, by the way, all the education, and we're uneducated. Our own people are not educated. Our young people on college campuses, I talk to many students and start talking about the history. They love Israel, but if you challenge them on certain things, they don't know their history. Where have we been all of these years? So there needs to be a change. I don't know if that will happen in America. Jewish, one thing we have in abundance, as you know, are Jewish organizations. The law is that once a Jewish organization is created, it shall never go out of existence, even if there's no need for it. But we have so many groups, and things were done a certain way, and they haven't worked. Where are our friends? Jewish women have been in the forefront of the women's movement. Jews have been in the forefront of every single movement to make this world better
of course.
Over the last 100 years. And since October 7th, you got to get candles and look for these groups. And please, for God's sake, let's not beg them to speak out, for God's sake. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
All these, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but so often we see videos, people send me a video of a non-Jew saying something nice about Jews. We get so excited about the non-Jew being on our side. I appreciate it, by the way. I appreciate it. But you know what? Oh, did you hear what somebody said? He's not Jewish. Did you hear that? Hey, let's be strong, proud. Let's deal with some of the issues that we've learned. The education. Again, education. Education has been going on forever. And our young people have no clue. By the way, adults don't have a clue either. They don't know the facts. We have the facts on our side, but I don't know. We've been busy doing other things. I get it. I understand. But all that needs to change. And what happened October 7th, the reason the people of Israel are united, the reason that whether it's Likud or whether it's this party or that, almost without exception in Israel, the reason they get it, do not want to stop this war. Past, there's always been groups for peace. This is the one time they get it. They understand the situation and who they're dealing with. And by the way, the fundamental issue is whether it's the Palestinian Authority, whoever it is, the problem is they don't want Jews there, period. That's really fundamentally what the problem is.
Of course. I guess what I'm hoping to somehow maybe from you're one of those people who lived long enough to have seen things done one way and then another, kind of see before and after. You have the perspective, your history. But as you said, most people don't know that. Not only don't they know that, Seth and I uncovered hundreds of quotes of the greatest of the Jewish wise people, stretching back millennia. And they all talk about those. Like there's always someone who's ringing the bell, who's trying to say something, and we're not listening. So the question is there a trick? Maybe how can we trick people to pursue that which is the only thing that is needed, that precious unity, for example, that you're seeing. That I'm already seeing crumbling at the top, by the way. You can see the media.
I mean, there's no more Hamas. Like, what's going to hold our unity together?
Again, I'm amazed. I will read you just 2 lines of a quote, and you tell me when was that quote written, okay? Just 2 lines. Most of the nation lost its ancient spiritual form, and moreover, some of it is absorbed in the pursuit after all the vanities of life, false divisions, and popular lies, provocations, altercations, and unfounded hatred, and its spiritual form is also external clothing rather than inner light.
Wow. That says it all.
And this was written in 1942 by Hillel Zeitlin, by the way. It's like the answer is right there, but as soon as you remove the external pressure, everything falls apart. We don't want to unite with external pressure. That's what animals do. We want to, again, walk ahead of the cart. We want to be proactive about
it. I hear you, and I wish I could give you an answer that you said.
Give us the answer,
Dov. The answer.
Give us the answer.
That's it.
Booked you at noon on Sunday for an answer.
All I could say is that I can only hope and pray that what happened recently will not solve the problem of Jewish disunity. There'll always be that. I mean, there's no question about that. But I'm hoping that it really, October 7th, in a very serious way, has brought Jews together to a greater extent than ever before, because we never had an October 7th in the history of the state of Israel. It is a new reality that everyone has to face. So is everyone going to be on board? Is everyone going to be like, yeah? No, of course not. That never happens. We always have, in Hebrew, an Erev Rav. We always have a group going back to the time of Moses, the time of Egypt, and throughout history, and right now, absolutely right now. But I think, and again, maybe it's hope, and we shall see soon enough, that because of what happened October 7th, so vivid, the videos, the things that have come out and the things that will come out in terms of what was done to our people. And by the way, let us not forget that the people who lived in the south of Israel, these were the people who cared deeply for the Palestinians. These were the people who took Palestinians from Gaza to Israeli hospitals because they cared so deeply. These were the peaceniks. These were the Shalom Achshav people. I spoke to many of them. I spoke to people from the area when I was there recently. They sing a different tune, a different song completely. Things have completely changed. They get it. They understand the reality of life. So let's hope. We are dealing with human beings. Let's hope that there is a real change. Will it be by the way, if it is a 100% change, then the Messiah will come the next day.
Doesn't have to be 100%. Seth and I are building circles, and you don't need many circles.
I think it'll be to an extent that we have not seen before, especially in Israel.
Let's put the Erev Rav to the side and not deal with that for the moment. But let's look at the conflict, for example, between like Hillel Shammai or Baal Shem Tov Vilna Gaon. There's very serious disagreements, but it's always a disagreement for a higher purpose versus a disagreement for the fact that I want to eradicate you. And we need to somehow like like strong disagreement every day. These guys got up and went to work and disagreed, but it wasn't in order to cancel the other one out. In fact, this is what refined the whole process and brought it to a higher level. We need to somehow find this spirit in what we're doing today. I want to cancel the opposite opinion. I need to, destroy the opposite opinion. We need to find a way as Jews, professional arguers, that these two opinions can somehow coexist, and not only that, strengthen each other.
Yeah, I hope. Look, I hear you, and I pray to God that happens. Prior to October 7th, we all agree people were at each other's necks. It was horrible. I mean, soldiers who said they wouldn't serve in the army, Air Force officers said they wouldn't fly planes, on and on. Guess who was rejoicing? This was a great moment for our enemies. Yes. A great moment for our enemies. This was an opportunity to take advantage because Israel was weak. But I think everyone, I really mean that. I use the word everyone. I mean, generally, the recognition that we can never go back to that. Doesn't mean we cannot disagree. There will still be political parties that are going to run against each other. And one thing I can tell you about politicians, they all want to win, period. Okay, nobody wants to lose for the cause. Everybody wants to win. But at least it will be done in a different fashion, not where we were with hatred. We can only hope for that. We will see very, very soon. I hope that I am right.
We hope so too, Dov. We sure do. I have a quote for you to read for us before we sign out. I'll post it in the chat. It's from Likutei Halachot. I just want to say that I wish everyone, I wish young people were as passionate as you about, being proactive, being proud, but not saying, hey, I'm proud because of what happened 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, or because, Einstein was Jewish or whatever. But I'm proud because I'm doing something to actually bring this light, this peace to the world. I'm doing it. I'm doing it with my friends, with my buddies, with our circle. We're doing it. We're proud because today also we prefer that to everything else. I really feel
Yeah. Can I just say to your audience that it's not, sometimes the problems are so great that we end up doing nothing. Oh, what can I do? I'm just an individual. It's not going to make a difference. Never look at things in that way. Everyone has an obligation to do their part on whatever level. Some can do more, some can do less, but no one should be doing nothing. Find a way to be involved. Find a way to make a difference, whether it's contributing, whether it's being active. When you see something and you need to go out. Look, by the way, look at our enemies. I am jealous. They're in the streets every single day all over America, showing their hatred for the people of Israel, for the Jewish people. But they are there. I've seen them in the streets, young people, by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. Every person has an obligation to do their part. Join something, be part of something. Listen and participate. Yell, raise your voice when you need to. Demand from your elected officials, where are you? We want to hear from you. Don't accept a press release that, they issued a press release. They support Israel. We need to bring it up a notch. But everyone should do their part. And the rest, by the way, once you do your part, the rest is in the hands of God. But don't ask God to intervene if you're not doing your part.
All right, Seth, you heard it. You heard it here.
I'm happy with all the problems we have. I'm happy that we have good friends, passionate friends.
I love the fact that, as you said, maybe if our enemies are out in the street chanting death to Jews and all the bad, maybe we can get on the street and chant love to each other.
Exactly. I wish.
So read us, give us your best read of this quote from Likutei Halachot. It's in the chat.
Look, I think we've covered the.
No. I posted a quote in the chat. You see it?
No, I don't.
Can you open the chat?
Hey, now you're confusing me.
On the bottom, on the bottom, you have all these the icons, right? So if your screen is wide enough, there should be.
I have them on top.
There should be a chat button.
Oh boy.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. You see your WhatsApp, right? Let me send you on your WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay, so hold on. There it is. It's on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, I see. Hey, it's everything we discussed.
Wait, no, read it to all of us.
Oh, you want me to read it? Oh my God.
Yeah,
yes.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. The principal livelihood is through unity, by incorporating all the differences in the source of unity. This is why love your friend as yourself is a great rule in Torah. In order to be integrated through unity and peace, which is the essence of our existence and the correction of all creation, where each person, though he has different opinions, will be included together in love, unity, and peace. Absolutely perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Dov.
Thank you, Dov. Thank you to everyone who's been with us. I don't, it's always hard to say kind of parting words because you just feel like you want to just keep hanging out with the people who come here and actually take the time to talk about this, to bring their heart into this. That's all we need, more heart. We just need more heart. I think that's our function, the Jew function. That's what's missing in the world. If you ask me, you don't need another startup. We need more heart. So,
well, thank you for what you guys are doing. And like I said, every piece of it up there in Shemayim, we believe that, is part of what will make the difference ultimately. It's all we have to do, our part. Not worry about anything else. We start worrying about, we end up, doing nothing. So thank you for what you guys are doing, and thanks for the opportunity for me to get some things off my chest.
Our pleasure. You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. You're in our circle. Follow Dov. He's got passionate clips. Share them. They're important for the struggle. And let's take another step together to finding our function in the world, our place in the world. I know we have it. Seth, thank you.
I'm Yisrael Chai.
Thanks,
remember
man.
that.
I'm Yisrael Chai.
And we'll see you all
everyone.
next week here on the Jew Function. Like us, share, comment.